Hi everybody, it's Roro Rants. I just wanted to make a video for, those of you who don't know me that well. I just wanted to give you a little bit of my background. I analyze everything. I am a scientist by education. So I pick apart all the information, I look at all the evidence, I read everything I can get my hands on, and I also listen to the opinions of the, through articles or videos of the most educated and capable experts in the fields of politics, economics, foreign affairs, on both sides, not just on the left. I listen to both sides and I make my best guess decisions or come up with my own theories or entertain the theories of others. And if I know something for a fact, it means that I've done a lot of research. For example, the election fraud. The primary election was stolen. That is a fact. Mathematical, statistical fact has been proven. So anyway, one other thing you got to understand and remember, especially if you know me well. If you've known me for 10, 20, some people know me for 40 years, or my whole life. I was highly intelligent in my youth. I probably still am, but I'm starting to get forgetful, but I'm not losing my intelligence. When I was young, my IQ tested at 152. I've grown up to be a very wise old woman. I was always book smart. Now I'm common sense smart too. So anything that I entertain, it's going to have some strong evidence to support it. And I'll give you an example of how I can learn or self-teach myself something. Look at the medical research. Those of you who know me and have known me for years, since the mid-90s, I have put most of my energy and free time into medical research. Now, I didn't have a medical background. I was physics, engineering, worked on weapons design in the Cold War and worked in the space program. I was nowhere near medical, but I got sick, and it was a chronic disease and something chronic, maybe several chronic conditions. And I discovered, to my surprise, that our doctors and our medical research people, they don't know much about the diagnosis, the causes, or the treatment of most chronic conditions. So anyway, I put probably from the 90s till I got interested in politics more in around 2008 or so, all my free energy into medical research. Now I was working and raising my son, and so I didn't have as much time. It was probably, maybe 2 to 5 hours a day, but that's still a lot. That's like taking classes. That's like getting a degree. Also I forgot to mention, big pharma and politics may play a role in this, and that's kind of how I got into politics too. It's more profitable to keep people sick and to treat these symptoms of these chronic diseases rather than to cure them. If they could just keep us sick, and prolong it longer and longer, then they could make more money. If they cure something, they're not going to make as much money. But this 20 years of medical research, it paid off, and this is how. Some of my doctors have told me that I know more about medicine than most interns coming out of medical school. Now, I don't believe this. I don't know everything. I only know about the specific topics that I looked up, which is very broad, but it's not everything. I studied neurology, infectious disease, autoimmune diseases, rheumatology, chronic pain and endocrinology, gastroenterology in depth, and then maybe a few other topics and diseases of other fields whenever someone in my family or close friends. I have a lot of people, in my extended family and friends who have mental illness, so I did a lot of digging into that. I myself was diagnosed with mental illness before they found out I had Lyme disease and neurogenic claudication and spinal problems and all this other crap. They thought it was all in my head. That's why I'm probably disabled now, because they didn't treat it in time. My back problem was so bad it turned into cauda equina, and my neck problem is still so bad the surgery didn't even work. I had a plate in my neck and rods and screws in my back, and thankfully I could still walk at least. At least I'm not in a wheelchair. But anyway, so it's paid off. Whenever someone in my family or close friends have questions about a condition or treatment that I know about, that their doctors are being unhelpful with, they come to me. And I can often diagnose their condition or at least get them to the right specialist, tell them what kind of specialist they need to go to. There have been times that the doctors are wrong and I turn out to be right. Many times I go to the hospital. When someone's sick, they call me. I'll go to the hospital and talk to the doctors for us about our loved one, because I can converse with them in their language, talk to the staff, and then a lot of times when I do that, they ask me, what's your medical background? What do you do? No, I don't have a medical background. Self-taught. So anyway, that's me. That's how I self-teach myself. When I self-teach myself something, it's successful. So back to politics. Since 9/11, I realized how screwed up our government is. And at that time, I started putting some research into politics. But I was still, heavily into the medical stuff. But then in 2008, with the crash, that's when I really got involved, because I lost a lot of fucking money. I lost about a third of my money, my 401k. And, during Obama's term, all these bills, I followed all the bills that were being presented and what was going on and how his hands were tied and with the sequester and all this stuff going on. And, so I really started paying attention to what was going on in the government. I didn't do a lot of research of history or economics or much of that, but only when I needed to look up something about what bills were being passed or what was going on. So then in 2013, I became disabled. That's when I stopped working. Since then, I have devoted 100% of my free time into studying politics, foreign affairs, economics, trying to understand the problems that we face, how our government really works and what doesn't work. This last 3 years, I've probably been researching these topics 8 to 12 hours a day. I mean, I do have other hobbies. Back then in 2013, I was still sewing and doing some other stuff. But since this election cycle, I've done nothing but this. And, most people don't have time to do this. Most people don't have 8 to 12 hours a day to put into this. And also take into consideration, again, I have a high IQ, 152. And I can understand the math part of it, the statistics. And, I can understand at a high level to be able to wade through. I also, as a scientist, I can wade through the research to try to be able to tell what is sensationalism and what is probable. And I also have the ability to read between the lines, which is very important because we don't have transparency in our government anymore. And a great deal of information is protected by security clearance. I also have held a security clearance in the past when I was doing Weapons Society. I mean, I know most of the information is old because it pertains to the Cold War era. I would never disclose any information that if I suspected it to be classified, but it helps me to know how our government deals with the public, reacts to situations, our position in the world. And I also heard things from other people I used to work with at NASA, people who had held top secret clearances in the past working for the military and had opinions on military strategy. This is going to freak you out. The things they told me back in 2003 when Bush invaded Iraq came true. So they knew what the military strategy of the United States was going to be. And it didn't matter who the president was. Doesn't matter. This was their strategy. Whether it's Republican, Democrat, they're not going to change their military strategy. Doesn't matter. I don't think the president's commander-in-chief anymore. I don't think they have the power to stop these things. Either that or they just really don't want to. But anyway, this is what this person told me. In 2003, when Bush invaded Iraq, person told me that, oh, look, Afghanistan, now Iraq, they're trying to surround Syria. Syria is the main target. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but, you know, I'm looking at the countries that Libya, Yemen, and I'm thinking, wow, maybe they are trying to, and then this is happening with Syria, so, wow, pretty freaky, huh? So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I'm not some left-wing conspiracy nut that believes everything I read. I carefully research and vet everything that I post. And if you're wondering why, you know, in my golden years, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering to study a whole new subject and get involved in whole? Well, I do this because I care about the future, and I am very concerned about our planet and the survival of our species as a whole. You know, I care about the future of my son, all my nieces, my nephews, their children, and so on. And the situation now is dire, mostly due to climate change, but also other problems. I don't know everything that's going on. Not many people do. But I think I know more than a lot of people who run their mouths on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You know? And also I'm doing this because we need independent news. The mainstream media is not doing their job. They're not reporting the news anymore. They censor everything. They're corporately owned, and many huge stories that should be front page news are completely ignored by the big stations, Fox, MSNBC, CNN. I'll give you just a couple of examples from the recent past. You know, I was posting all kinds of stuff on the election fraud, the Democratic for starting in February, and from then until the election in July. All the independent news media were reporting on it, tons of evidence, exit polls being off only by, you know, on the Democrat side, not on the Republican side, and only in states without a paper trail, and all in favor of Hillary. And the statistical analysis of the data showing fractional vote counting, purges in the voter rolls, arrest and bribing of an employee in New York who did the purge. You know, she got a house that she's $500,000, maybe $1 million at the most, that she sold for $1 million to a person in the Democratic Party. I mean, all this stuff should be front page news, headlines. Totally silent. The silence was deafening, and nothing. And, you know, then when Trump started talking about the election fraud, then the mainstream media finally started saying, oh yeah, these machines could be hacked. But then they don't say a word about the primary. They don't say, oh yeah, maybe they were hacked. That's what we've been telling you all along. Another example, Dakota Access Pipeline protests, huge protests, people being attacked by dogs, horrible, horrible conditions. You know, they're trying to protect their water. This is their land. We're doing it again to the Native Americans. Nothing on mainstream media, nothing about it. You know, maybe a mention on some articles, but it should be front page news, big stories. Another example, the coverage of the Democratic National Convention was pitiful, pitiful. The stuff that I watched, but people were using camera phones outside, and was nothing like what they showed. It was not that picture perfect of what they showed on the, you know, mainstream media. So anyway, go to the show all section, and there's some links to articles or things. You know, I got the Election Justice USA report showing the election fraud, any kind of proof that's needed. Anytime I say anything, I put proof. I put links to articles or videos or whatever. If you have a comment on one of my videos or posts, or, you know, posts on Facebook, I encourage intelligent debate. I encourage you to like and share my posts and videos. If you think something is too surreal, ask me for my sources if I didn't give them. I'll provide the sources. If I don't answer something especially on Facebook, please don't think I'm ignoring you. It's just that I get hundreds of notifications a day. I can't possibly answer all of them. So if it's important, send me a private message if I miss something. If you want to just ignore this political crap and keep your head in the sand and be happy, that's your choice. I did that for most of my life because I thought the people running things were smart and they had it all under control. I found out the hard way, much too late in my life, that I was sadly mistaken, and now might be too late for me to make a difference, to really do anything about it. But I'm gonna go down fighting. If I'm still posting political stuff, it means I still have hope for the future. I don't want to lose all my hope. And I'm sorry if I sometimes say things that offend any of my friends, or you're sick of hearing about the politics. Please, if you don't like it, just scroll on by them. But you have to understand that for me, this is life or death. Not just for me, but for you too. I'm doing this because I love everybody. I love all of you, and I'm trying to save the planet for all of you. So, thanks everybody. Like and share, subscribe, and peace out.